Well, hi everyone. Thanks for watching. You notice in the title of this video, I put Take 10. And the reason I did that is not because it's literally 10 takes to make the video or that I've done this topic 10 times before or anything like that. No. This is a topic that from time to time I'm very fond of talking about, and I've mentioned it to some of you. I know we have these discussions when I do my live chats and sometimes in the comment sections in general. And that has to do with collecting, the whole collecting thing in general. And a lot of people watching this channel or subscribe to me are collectors. And it's always a topic that gets a lot of conversation, a lot of opinions back and forth. I hope a lot of you will contribute to the discussion, and some of you will actually are out there who make videos. I hope maybe you'll consider making a video response and putting your feelings down in a video. Well, what I want to talk about is what I call the kind of tug of war that I go through when it comes to being a collector of music. Not just music, other things too, but for the purpose of this video, I'm referring to just the music. Now, surprise, surprise, I'm a Beatles collector. I'm a big Beatles fan. Most of what I have musically are records by the Beatles. And I don't just stop at records, I collect memorabilia. We got that. And everything I'm going to talk about in this video has really nothing to do with Beatles in the sense that when it comes to the Beatles, I'm going to continue to collect. I'm going to continue to amass everything that I can or that I want. And they're really off limits as far as this topic goes. I'm talking about non-Beatles stuff for me. I'm going to start by saying that I enjoy much other music other than just the Beatles. Contrary to what people think, I don't just listen to the Beatles. I can't stand listening to the Beatles every day. I do not listen to the Beatles every day. And nor do I want to spend the rest of my life only listening to the Beatles. But it does come to a matter of how much am I going to own by other artists and how much am I going to amass, how much of it am I going to store away and display and all that kind of thing. And that's something I'm always at odds with myself. And right now, as I sit down to make this video, is a good example. I thought about making this video hours ago, and I was driving around. I said, when I get home, I'm going to make this video. And at that time, I was thinking I would kind of be speaking about veering myself away again from collecting a whole bunch of non-Beatles related artists. And as I then got home and started to get the camera set up and get my records here that I want to show and things, I started saying, no, on second thought, I want to keep collecting other stuff too. That's why this is crazy. And I wonder if any of you have that feeling. Now, I live in a small apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment. I occupy it with my girlfriend. And it's not really enough room for all the stuff I have, but I'm not worried about that now because it's our intent at some point down the road, few years from now, to move out of state somewhere where it's more affordable to live and we can actually get a house to live in with a lot of rooms, and that'll knock that problem right off its feet. I don't have to worry about that anymore. But when I make that move out of state, and everybody who moves from one place to another knows what I'm talking about, what kind of experience is that going to be like? How am I going to move all that stuff? You know, when you have a lot of stuff, records especially are heavy, they're delicate, they can break, they can crack, they can melt in the heat. It depends on where you're going and how far, how many miles or hours it is from where you live could be an issue. And how much now, between now and then, do I want to accumulate? I've already got enough right now if I was to move tomorrow. And again, I'm not talking about the Beatles, I'm talking about other stuff. A lot of people often discuss here in the collectors community, well, after you die, do you care what happens to your stuff? And I always say, I really don't care in the sense that I figure I collect for me, I collect for my enjoyment in the here and now. Whatever happens after I'm gone is another story. I am not going to stop collecting now and enjoy life now and have fun now just because one day I may be gone, and well, I will be gone, and maybe this stuff isn't going to be around anymore. You know what I mean? I don't believe in that. Well, I'm going to be when I'm gone. What's going to happen to the stuff? I don't worry about that. I don't deny myself pleasure in the here and now because when I'm gone, somebody else is going to be burdened with it or something. It's just my hope that the stuff doesn't get tossed. It's my hope that the stuff gets sold and that somehow some other collectors, maybe some of you out there watching right now, will be able to enjoy it. I just hope that it gets kind of like put back out there into the marketplace or back out there into the collectors and collecting place, and people have it. But let's talk about what inspired me to kind of today to make this video a topic that I love talking about, that I revisit from time to time. Okay, I was at my record store today. I was off today from work, and I was hanging out at my record store, and a lot of new records came in, and some of the records that came in, there were, I think, 5 albums by Lesley Gore. And those of you who are familiar with Lesley Gore know her hits. I like a lot of Lesley Gore hits. I mean, there are a good amount of songs by her that I like, and that's the case with a lot of artists. But these records that were there by Lesley Gore were originals. They were in great shape. They were not that expensive. They were like $15 each, and I thought, wow, I looked at the covers. They were immaculate. They were beautiful. And I right away got the collector bug because I like Lesley Gore's hits. And I started thinking, these are nice relics from the 60s. They're from 1964, 1965. And I'm thinking, these are, the combination of the nice condition, being really in great condition in stereo, and also being the, kind of genuine vintage artifacts from the period. All that stuff is where the delight comes in. So there was one album that had a few hits that I knew on it. Then there were like 4 other albums that I didn't really know the songs on it. But so what I did while I was at the record store was I sampled these records, the ones I didn't know, and I played them. And what I discovered was that they didn't grab me. I was very happy with just the hit songs that I know by Lesley Gore. That's not the case with every artist, but a lot of artists, that's the case for me. So I'm listening to it, and I'm thinking, some of these songs sound forced. They sound like they're trying hard to come up with a hit, like the other ones. Didn't grab me, but yet I was holding the albums in my hand. I was like, these are so beautiful, though. I want to have them. And some of you who collect know what I mean. It's almost like sometimes you collect it, well, 90% of the time we collect for the music. We're collecting for the content, right? What songs are on the record, what we want to hear. But other times, there may be a reason. Maybe it's just something that's really a nice piece of collectible stuff that you want. So I still wanted them. And what I was trying to do was I was trying to talk myself into wanting to liking these albums so I could justify buying them in a way. And then I discovered at the end of the day, no, as much as I want the albums, they're so cool to have. And sometimes that's enough. I want to stress that, make that clear. Sometimes that's enough. Whatever makes you happy. If you want to spend $15 on a record album just because you think the cover's great, fine. If it doesn't have to be that you love all the songs or anything, or any of the songs. Whatever reason you don't want to spend your money. There's people out there who spend money on cigarettes, booze, whatever it is. I mean, that's more damaging. So whatever. But back to what I was saying at the beginning. Do I want to keep collecting to the point where I'm amassing a huge, huge, huge collection of stuff that I'm really probably never going to play, but maybe once in a while, once every year or 2 or 3, I'll take them off and hold them. I was getting delight just by looking at these covers. They were so beautiful to have these great antiques now from over 50 years ago and just have them look so nice, like they were just made yesterday. That alone was giving me enjoyment. You know, I keep saying enjoyment. People say you have to enjoy your records. Well, enjoy most of the time means audibly listening to them. Not always. Sometimes it's just having them. So I elected to pass on these albums after struggling with myself with it. You know, to buy, not to trying less and less to buy just for the sake of buying. But I'm going to show you some examples. I did pick up something that was only $1, and the fact that it was $1 made it easy to buy it. And I played it, and I liked what I heard. I liked what I heard. It was $1, so I bought it. Still, I'm going to, before I show this to you, just because it's only $1, that still doesn't justify, you know, clogging up every space in your house with this stuff. In other words, even if those Leslie Gore albums were all $1 each, and if I didn't like them, was there any point in having them? I don't know. The album is this. Get ready, folks, okay? Some of you will cringe, and some of you will say, oh, that's a good choice. The Andrews Sisters, Near You. Now, I know the Andrews Sisters. I know them. Abbott and Costello movies, you know, the Andrews Sisters singing there like Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy and everything else. And I got to say, I played this album, and I love the harmonies. These women really knew how to sing. I mean, this is singing. This is harmonizing. These are great for $1. So I spent $1 and I picked it up. And when I got it home, you know, I said to myself, well, I'm glad to have this. But again, even if you keep buying a lot of dollar albums, after a while, you know, one album turns into 100 albums. 100 albums turn into thousands of albums. You get the idea. So it's a kind of a tug of war, a back and forth that you're going through all the time. So I say, you know, as I've often said, I even made a now deleted video at the beginning of this year for a New Year's Eve, a New Year's Day, and I said I was going to try just to stick with the Beatles. That's it. You know, no more, like in other words, I still want to listen to other music, but for other music, I'll stick with CDs. I'll play some compact discs over there. See my shelving here. I play CDs of other artists, or just deal with maybe Sirius XM radio, or whatever it is. I don't have to own records. But then you see something like this, which I picked up fairly recently. Here's Little Richard, and I believe this is an original. Okay, and I love Little Richard, and he's not the Beatles. I mean, I don't love him like I love the Beatles, but damn, you know. And the record here, now, as long as you keep it in cellophane like this, it's in great shape, you know. All right, it's in great shape like that. But when you take it out, it was very cheap because, well, basically the whole thing opens like a book. But it's an original, I believe. I think this is the first label, or if it's not the first label, it's one of the earliest labels, and it's Specialty Records. And got that long playing micro groove, thick record. And I'll tell you, some of these old records were so well made that even though they're scratchy, there's scratches on here. If you look, you can see scratches. When you play this, it sounds phenomenal anyway. You don't hear them as much as some of the records of later records, you know, after this. So it was a good buy. But you see, right now, even as I'm discussing this record with you folks, I'm getting excited. I'm getting into it. I'm saying, screw the video. Shut the video off. End it right here. I'm going to keep collecting. I love it. You see, that's what I mean. So, I don't know. Do I narrow it down more? Do you kind of narrow your taste down to certain artists that you really like? Same thing true of the Everly Brothers. I bought this album not too long ago. It's in great shape. By the way, I'm going to be showing these if you haven't watched it already. I don't know if when I'm going to upload this video. I may upload it before a recent Vinyl Finds video that I'm going to show, or after. I don't know yet. But anyway, I showed these albums in the Vinyl Finds video. I like the Everly Brothers. I'm happy with their greatest hits. But when you see it, you just feel like the price is right. You want to have it. And then you have albums like this, which don't ask. I can't explain why I buy them. Are you like this? Do you have this issue? This is a movie, Airport 1975. Not a very good movie, but it's one that I grew up with. I'm a fan of Charlton Heston, and he's the star of this movie along with Karen Black and George Kennedy, and it reminds me of being a kid. So while I may never play this record, or I may play it every now and then for kicks, once or twice, who knows? I have the movie. There's something about having this that I just enjoy having it. I put it into my soundtrack collection. You know, well, I didn't want this to go too long, so I don't think it's gonna. I thought it was gonna go half an hour, but I could talk forever on this. But and I will again. This is not the last time. But again, it's interesting that again, I'm being pulled back and forth in my own mind about what's the way to go with this. How much non-Beatles stuff do I need physically? Is what it comes down to. Beatles stuff, I want everything physically, no problem. Physical media, all that. When it comes to other stuff, how much do I want and need? And I don't know if showing these records and getting the excitement out of it, as I just did with the adrenaline, just by this video is any indication. I won't be stopping anytime soon. Please let me know your thoughts.